Dear students, today we are going to continue with the topic the movement of molecules from one place to another place in a plant cell. So as I told you in the last class, the transpiration, today we are going to see something about the transpiration. So the transpiration is the loss of water by means of or through the leaves of the plants. Okay, through the leaves. So what going to happen over here? As I told you, the amount of water absorbed by the plant, any plant, okay, so almost 98% will be lost by the evaporation by means of the particular leaves through the process called transpiration. Only 2% will be utilized by the plant. As I told you, 0.2% around will be utilized for photosynthesis and remaining 1 point something percent will be utilized for all other activities of all the plant cells. So the point you have to remember over here, almost 98% of all the absorbed water from the roots, it will be lost through the leaves by means of the process called transpiration. Okay, and today we are going to see something about how the particular transpiration occurs or which part of the leaves going to perform the particular transpiration. As I told you, the transpiration differs from the guttation, as we have seen something called guttation in the last class. So what is guttation? So the loss of water as water droplets. Okay, so here the water lost as liquid. Okay, so it will be lost in the form of liquid form in case of guttation, but in case of transpiration it will be lost as vapors. Okay, so the water will be lost as vapors through the leaves, and we are going to see how the particular transpiration happens in the leaves and which part of the or which structure performs the particular transpiration. So as I told you, in case of leaves there are structures called stomata. Okay, so over here you can see the rough structure of stomata. So the stomata will be supported by two nearby cells. Always it will be supported by two nearby cells called guard cells. Okay, so over here stomata. Okay, so just imagine this is a stomata, and the stomata will be always supported by two guard cells. Okay, stomata is a leaf opening, and the particular opening is being supported by two guard cells. Okay, so the two guard cells will have the cell wall. Okay, and we can call this, there are two sides, this called outside or outer side, this is inner side of the particular guard cell, and over here you can see the inner side will be the thicker cell wall. Okay, the inner side they have thicker cell wall and the outer side they have thinner cell wall. So as I told you in the last class, the diffusion of water from the soil to the root by means of the process called diffusion. And the major process, okay, the principle behind the particular diffusion is the pressure gradient. Okay, so as I told you, the transpiration will be performed by the particular leaves through the stomatal aperture. Aperture means opening. Okay, through the stomatal apertures. So what will happen? Because of the loss of water, it will create some pressure gradient. It will create some vacuum, so that it will create some pressure gradient, so that it will increase the turgidity of the particular area. So what do you mean by turgidity? We have seen what is turgidity in the last class. Turgidity is something called the increasing pressure due to the formation of vacuum or the emptiness. The water will move from one place to another place. Okay, so that will increase the turgidity. Turgidity means it will create some pressure within the particular cell. So what kind of pressure? The movement of water within the particular vacuum. So the water will move the particular cell membrane against the particular cell wall. Okay, so if this is a cell wall, if this is a cell membrane, the water will enters into the particular cell, so that it will enlarge the size of the cell. So the cell membrane will press against the particular cell wall. So this is what called the increasing of the particular turgidity. Okay, so the increasing turgidity, what will happen? The movement of the particular thinner cell wall. Okay, as I told you, the outside of the particular guard cell is called thinner cell wall. So the thinner cell walls will bulge. Okay, so if this is a normal shape of the particular guard cell, the thinner cells gonna bulge like this, so that it will automatically pull the particular inner particular thicker cell wall. So what will happen over here? It will form a shape like this. It will form a opening like this. So it will open the particular aperture. So it will form a opening over here, so that it will enhances the evaporation of water through the particular apertures. Okay. So this is what going to happen during the functioning of the particular guard cells. Okay. So the guard cells will open the particular stomatal apertures. Through the stomatal apertures, because of the pressure gradient, the water will evaporate. The evaporation of water itself going to create some gradient in the pressure, so that the water will move from one place to another place. Okay. And as I told you, what is flaccid? So the flaccid means there will be a net movement of, or the equilibrium. Okay. The movement will be at equilibrium. There will be a net movement, or there will be no movement of water from one place to another place within or in and out of the particular cell. So in a flaccid state, the aperture will close. Okay. So the point you have to remember over here, the stomatal apertures normally opens at during night time, and it will be closed during the morning time. Okay. So the point you have to remember over here, the stomata, the guard cells, the stomatal aperture structure, the turgidity and flaccid. And one more point you have to remember over here, the microfibrils. So what are microfibrils? So microfibrils are proteins. They are going to support the particular opening and closing of the particular stomatal apertures in the particular structure, the apparatus. And the next few things you have to remember about the transpiration, how the properties of water will help for the particular transpiration. As I told you, the transpiration is the process happen at the particular structures called leaves. Okay. But the water absorption, as I told you, happens in the structure called roots. Okay. Especially the root hairs. So there must be some continuum in between the root hairs and the leaves. Okay. Then only the water absorbed by the particular root hairs will be lost through the leaves in the tip of the plant. Okay. So just imagine a plant. The root hairs will be at the topmost bottom, and the leaves may be in a available in a topmost. Okay. So this is the bottommost, this is the topmost, and the water absorbed from the root hairs will be moved to the leaves, and through the leaves it will be evaporated as the transpiration. Okay. So over here there are some properties you have to remember to understand the transpiration process, or how the properties of these properties of water are going to help for the transpiration. And the properties we are going to see over here, the cohesion, adhesion, surface tension. Cohesion, adhesion and surface tension. So what is cohesion? Cohesion means the attraction in between the water molecule. Okay, cohesion refers to the attraction between water molecules. Okay, so that property is called cohesion. Okay, this is by means of the hydrogen bonds, and they are being attracted towards each other. So this attraction between the water molecules in a link is called the cohesion. Adhesion refers to the water's nature, or the water's the love to interact with the polar surface. Okay. So as I told you, the transport through some narrow areas. Okay. Some narrow areas like the vessel elements, tracheids. Okay. And those tissues, they are having the polar surface or polar structures on the inner lining. So what will happen? Through the particular polar structures, the water molecules can interact, so that it can make adhesion to the particular polar surfaces. Okay. So like climbing a mountain or climbing a ladder, it is gonna help with the particular adhesion property with the polar surface. They are gonna move from one stage to another stage. Okay. So this is second major property after cohesion, adhesion of the particular water molecule to the surfaces of the particular tracheids and vessel elements. And surface tension. Okay. So surface tension is one of the major physical property of water. So as I told you, there are different states of water. It may be solid, it may be liquid, or it may be gas. Forget about the solid state. We are not gonna see those in plant physiology. And only thing you have to remember, liquid and gas stage. Okay. So gas state, as I told you, you can see it only during the photosynthesis and the transpiration at the leaves level. But during the transport from the roots to the leaves, it will be in a liquid state. Okay. So in the liquid state, it will have some property called surface tension. Surface tension, as I told you, it is also because of the hydrogen bonds. Okay. So it will create some tensile strength for the particular water molecules in between each and every molecule. That is because of hydrogen bonds, somewhat stronger hydrogen bonds than the gas state water molecules. So over here, as I told you, liquids will have some surface tension, and with this surface tension along with the adhesion and the cohesion property, it will move from the root hairs to the leaves. Okay, and as I told you, these three major properties, major physical properties of water will create the tensile strength and capillarity of the water. So what do you mean by tensile strength? As I told you, it has to move from, the water molecule has to move from the bottom, that is from the root to the top, that is to the leaf. Okay, so it has to create some continuous strength, okay, continuous tensile strength, and that tensile strength is being created by all the three properties of water. And the capillarity means the capillaries. Okay, through the capillaries it can move from one place to another place. This property is called capillarity of water, and these two properties is being created by the factors of cohesion, adhesion and surface tension of the particular water. Okay, and this is what you have to remember, something about the properties of water for the transpiration. As I told you, the transpiration will be performed by the leaves of all the plants. Okay, so based on a plant, the surface may be vary. In case of monocotyledon, dicotyledon plants, okay, in case of dicotyledon plants, the lower surface of the leaves normally will perform the transpiration. In case of monocotyledons, the sidewise surfaces of the leaves will perform the particular transpiration. Okay, we are going to see the details of the transpiration later. And the point you have to remember over here, you have to remember the structure of the particular stomatal aperture structure. Then you have to remember the major properties, physical properties of water to perform the particular transpiration. And now we are going to move to the next topic in the particular transport, the mineral uptake or mineral transport within the particular plants. So till now we have seen something about the movement of water or translocation of water from one place to another place, and now we are going to see something about the uptake and transport of minerals by means of the particular xylem. So as I told you, the minerals always will be present in a, normally most of the minerals is taken up from the soil. Okay, and 2 points you have to remember over here. The minerals, uptake of minerals is somewhat differs from the water uptake, because normally the minerals is in the soil in the form of ions, charged particles. Okay, so they are in a form of charged ions. Okay, and second point you have to remember over here, normally the concentration of minerals normally will be less amount in case of soil compared to the within the cells of the roots. Okay, the concentration gradient. So over here, concentration will be less in soil compared to the absorbing cells. As I told you, the root hairs or cells in the root hairs. So it will not create the gradient you require to transport by means of the particular simple diffusion. As I told you, simple diffusion will happen only from the higher concentration to lower concentration. The point you have to remember over here, the concentration is less in soil and you have to move the particular ions or the particular mineral from lower concentration to the higher concentration, that is within the particular cells of the root hairs. Okay, and these 2 points you have to remember about the transport of minerals or uptake of minerals. Okay, so they are charged ions or charged molecules in the soil and they are less concentration in the soil. So the point you have to remember over here, in case of the property, the charged ion, as I told you, wherever the charged particles try to enter into the cell, okay, As I told you, the cell membrane is semi-permeable. Okay, so they are normally impermeable for charged molecules. Okay, so this is lipid bilayer cell membrane. So normally they will not allow the charged molecules within the particular cell, and only the neutral molecules or the water-like substances can easily diffuse into the cell membrane. Okay, but these kind of charged molecule cannot pass through the particular cell membrane that much easily. Okay, so as I told you, you have to remember the water molecule is normally by means of the passive transport, that is without the need for any ATP molecule or any energy molecule to transport from one place to another place. But over here the transport of or the uptake of the particular minerals from soil and the transport requires energy. They need energies in the form of ATP. So we are calling this kind of uptake and transport is active absorption or active transport. Okay, so by means of active transport only the particular mineral uptake will happen. The point you have to remove over here, at some time passive transport may happen for the particular minerals, some minerals. Okay, but most of the minerals will be taken up by the process called active absorption or active transport, and it will be taken up by the cytoplasm of the epidermal cells. As I told you, there are several layers in the particular root hair cells: dermis, epidermis, cortex, and the pericycle. So the transport will happen to the site of epidermal cells. Okay, and within the epidermal cells it will be, as I told you, the cell membrane will have some specific, apart from the lipid bilayer, there are some specific proteins called transport proteins. Okay, so what may be the role of the particular transport protein? As I told you, the transport proteins are involved in the transport of molecules from one side to another side. For example, from the outside to inside. They are very specific. This is what you have to remember. They are very specific. Okay, for example, each and every transport protein will participate in only for the transport of specific ions from one place to another place. Okay, for each and every ion there will be a specific transport protein present in the particular cell membrane, and they are going to participate in the transport of ions from the outside to the inside or inside to the outside. As I told you, the free ions cannot move past through the lipid bilayer. They need help from the particular transport protein. They are going to act as a boat to transport from one point to another point, from outside to the inside or inside to the outside. Okay, so the transport proteins present on a cell membrane of the epidermal cells, they are going to transport the particular ions from outside to the inside. And what may be the direction of the particular transport? As I told you, as we have seen in a water, okay, water will be from one point to another point, it will be a unidirectional. Okay, so it will not move back to the roots from the leaves. Okay, as we have seen in the water movement, over here also the minerals also move from one location to another location, but at some time it will be enter into the phase called remobilization. Remobilization means the usage of the particular minerals from old senescent leaves or old senescent parts to the younger parts of the particular plant. For example, if some part of the plant, for example, some old leaves is gonna residue from the particular plant, what will happen? The minerals from the particular old part, normally the major minerals enters into the remobilization stage is called, the minerals are phosphor, sulfur, nitrogen and potassium. Okay, and these major minerals normally will be remobilized to the younger parts of the same plant. Okay, and do remember one thing, some minerals cannot be remobilized. For example, carbon structure compounds or carbon or calcium minerals cannot be remobilized to younger parts, but these major elements, phosphor, sulfur, nitrogen, potassium, can be remobilized to younger parts. Okay, and these are the things you have to remember about the uptake of minerals, and we are going to see the entire mineral details in the next section of the particular unit. And now we are going to enter into the next topic, the phloem transport. So as I told you, till now we have seen something about the transport through the xylem, and now we are going to see the phloem transport. So what is the difference between xylem and phloem? As I told you, xylem normally involves in the transport of water. Normally we can say like this, the transport of inorganic elements. Okay, you cannot say only the inorganic element will be transported by xylem, but normally the inorganic elements or inorganic substances will be transported by xylem and organic substances will be transported by phloem. Okay, so that is what we are going to see now, the transport through the phloem. And the point you have to remember over here, in case of xylem, as I told you, normally the transport will be unidirectional. Okay, so the transport from one point to another point, from the roots to the leaves, this is unidirectional. It will not move to the opposite direction. But in case of phloem, it is always bidirectional, because you have to move the particular organic substances from one location to another location based on a need. Okay, we can say, we can use two terms, source and sink. Source is from where the particular organic substances moves, and sink from or to the which point the particular organic substances is in need. Okay, and this is what the normal direction, from source to sink. And you have to remember, for example, the leaves are the producers of the sugars, and that particular sugar is needed for, or it is being needed by all the parts of the plants. Okay, and it will be stored in somewhere as a storage molecule. Okay, at some point of time. Okay, normally the movement will be from the leaves to the storage area. Okay, at this point it will be act as a source and it will be act as a sink. At some point of time, the leaves cannot synthesize or it cannot do the photosynthesis. At that time, the leaves need energy to survive. At that time, from the storage point, the sugar will be moved to the particular leaves, and at that time, the storage point will become a source and the leaves will become a sink. Okay, so the point you have to remember over here, in case of the phloem transport, the transport is bidirectional. Okay. So it can be from any place to any place or any point to any point based on a requirement and based on a time duration. Okay, and now we are going to see something about the transport mechanism through the particular phloem. Okay, so as I told you, the organic substances normally moves through the phloem or amino acids, hormones and sucrose. As we all know, the photosynthesis will prepare or synthesize the glucose molecule, and the glucose will be converted into disaccharide called sucrose, and the sucrose will be transported from one place to another place and it will be stored as a starch and other hard or polysaccharide form in a storage areas. Okay, and this is what the normal process, and here only the particular phloem gonna work. Okay, and so what is gonna happen over here, as I told you, the glucose will be synthesized in leaves and it will be converted into sucrose, and the sucrose will be transported to the particular phloem, exactly the companion cells of the phloem tissue. Okay, by means of active transport. This is what you have to remember. The transport of sucrose to the companion cells of the phloem tissue by means of active transport. So what will happen? You are removing something, or you are removing the particular sucrose is something nothing but solutes. Okay, you are removing solutes from a place immediately by means of active transport, and this removing of the particular solutes from a place will create a pressure called osmosis. Okay, it will create some osmotic pressure, and it will the particular phloem area will become hypertonic, and that hypertonic pressure will create some gradient, and because of that gradient osmosis will happen. So water will be moved to the particular vacuum site that is created by the movement of sucrose to the companion cells. This is what the process you have to remember about the phloem transport. So what happens over here? The glucose is being synthesized by leaves, and from the glucose it will be converted to sucrose, and the sucrose will be transported to the phloem tissues by means of the active transport. The movement will create a hypertonic environment in the phloem. The hypertonic environment enhances the osmosis so that the water will move into the particular cell, and this gradient will form the flowing, the mass flow environment, so that the movement of the particular molecule, the organic substances from one place to another place will happen. That is what happening during the particular phloem transport. Okay, and again to the sink or to the delivering site also the same process in a reverse direction will happen. First the osmosis will happen, the water loss, then by means of active transport the molecule sucrose will be transported to the storage material. Okay, and this is what you have to remember something about the phloem transport. In the next class what we are going to see the minerals involved in the particular plant growth, and we are going to see the what are all the macro elements, micro elements, and what percentage, what are the list, and how the particular mineral deficiency will cause the diseases or symptoms, and what do you mean by the mineral toxicity, and these are all we are going to see in the next class.